are those witnesses that were actually called before this commission, and that's Captain Tlati and Mr. Mashiko. We then suggest that if one has regard to, and that's the totality now of the evidence introduced by the evidence leaders, if one has regard to what those witnesses state, one could categorize them into three classes. It is those witnesses whose testimony relates to the provision of mortuary vans at Marikana. And that would be Colonel Madoda, Colonel Classen, Mr. Simon Laka, Mr. Pilani Tadanyani, Josephine Ketsengake. That's what those witnesses would have testified about. And their statements state as such. The next class is a class of generals who attended the NMF meeting on the 15th of August 2012 and the subsequent extraordinary session. And that would be General Mawela and General Basson. For purposes of the record and to remind us, General Basson is the Provincial Commissioner for Northern Cape. Or was, I'm reminded, was at the time, the General Commissioner for Northern Cape. General Mawela is Divisional Commissioner ORS. In the final category is only one witness, and that is Captain Mulman. Now, Captain Mulman is a police officer with a legal background, and she was stationed at Marikana at the time, and she attended the various JOC meetings and JOCOM meetings. So those are the three broad categories that these witnesses fall into. I will start with the witnesses that deal with the order or the provision of mortuary vans. And Chair, Mr. Jamie took issue with the fact that in our heads of argument, I think we simply say their testimony has no relevance before this board. And we maintain that position. And we do so, Chair, because if one has regard to their statements as contained in Annexure, in Exhibit B, this evidence relates to where they got instructions to provide mortuary vans and what they did pursuant to such instructions. And Mr. Madoda, the highlight of Mr. Madoda's evidence in this regard appears in his statement, which starts at page 62 of Exhibit B. And in particular, paragraph 3 thereof. It's a one-page statement. '62, Chair. It was Exhibit H 66 in the Marikana Commission, and it would bear that number at the top right corner. And in paragraph 3, he testifies thus: on the 16th August 2012, I was on duty at Marikana together with other detective members. Then between 0800 and 0930 hours, Brigadier Van Zyl arrived for our daily briefings. He requested me to task Lieutenant Colonel Classen, commander of Puking Detective Office, to go to Puking Mortuary and to ask them to be on standby for in case they would be needed at Marikana. At paragraph 4, he then informs us what he did with that instruction. At this juncture, it would be necessary then to go to the statement of Brigadier Gideon Van Zyl himself, because Colonel Madonna says he received his instruction from Brigadier Van Zyl. And that, Chair and members of the Commission, you will find starting at page 75.
Sorry, through you, Judge Classen, could I object to the reliance upon the statement by Brigadier Van Zyl? It's not evidence before you in terms of Exhibit C.
Leaders in this quality. And I do concede it's inconsistent with the list I have provided at page 26 of our heads of argument.
Yeah, yes.
I will retract my attempt to rely on that statement on the basis that the evidence leaders led it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Insofar as
So
that...
we can leave that out, eh?
Not as yet, Chair.
Thank you.
The entire record of the Falam Commission is a record before you. For this purpose, I will refer the board to an exhibit tendered before Marikana, exhibit number ZZZZ.
How many?
Four Zs.
4 Zs.
3.657. And accepting that the evidence leaders are not relying on that statement, and with their permission, for ease of reference, a copy of that statement appears in Exhibit B. And if it appears from pages 75. And now that is the statement of Brigadier Jacobus Van Zyl. And in that statement, he explains what he did. And he makes reference to the instruction attributed to him by Colonel Madoda.
Paragraph?
He does that at paragraph 5, overleaf, paginated page 76. At the conclusion of that paragraph, it states, and I quote,
Sorry, Judge, before my learned friend refers to it, I must persist with the objection. This is, albeit indirectly, a direct breach and attempt to circumvent the agreement. The statement by Brigadier Van Zyl was inserted in Exhibit B, but you will recall, and I'll find the reference in a moment, in our statement of case, we said, precisely because this statement contradicts directly the statements of the other mortuary witnesses, we said that his statement was demonstrably untrue, and if necessary, we would seek leave to cross-examine him. That's the reason his statement was inserted in this bundle, as a preface to us cross-examining him, to demonstrate that what he says at paragraph 6 is untrue. For our colleagues, in the light of Exhibit C, which they agreed to and which they've strenuously attempted to hold us to now seek through the back door to rely upon that passage in Exhibit B, is simply improper. If they wished to call this witness, if they thought it relevant, they would have reserved their rights as they have done in Exhibit C. Exhibit C is the template for the way in which this evidence, or all this evidence, was placed before you. And if they wished to call Brigadier van Zyl and then give us the opportunity to cross-examine him, as we most surely would have done. Had there been any suggestion that this evidence would be tendered, then they should have done so up front. It's quite improper in argument, let alone the fact that it's not even mentioned in the heads, this line. It's improper for them to refer to this.
Are you relying on paragraph 3.1 of the agreement, which one finds in Exhibit C, page 2, where it said the parties confirmed that the evidence of witnesses who testified at the Faro Commission is accepted as evidence before the Board of Inquiry, save insofar as pertinently challenged by contrary evidence.
No, Judge, I'm not referring to that because none of these witnesses testified at the following commission. So that is, it's not 3.1, it's 3.2 that's relevant.
Oh, it's 3.2.
Which is the agreement that the witnesses identified in para 3.3 below. But can I just give you the background to this? This document, as is apparent therefrom, was prepared by the commissioners, the attorneys' workspace.
Yes.
And they inserted in 3.3, which is the identification list, which 3.2 refers to, all the witnesses who are contained, it seems, in our Exhibit B. But what they overlooked in doing so, Judge, is that we, and I'm looking to see whether I can find the reference, in our statement of case, thank you to my junior, at paragraph 59 of our statement of case, we said, for purposes of completeness, we point out that Brigadier Gideon van Zyl, who directed that the mortuary vehicles were to be summoned, deposed to an affidavit on 24 January 2014, the content of this affidavit is demonstrably false, and if necessary, leave will be sought to cross-examine him thereupon. That is the reason why we had his statement in the bundle, and it incorrectly then was inserted as a witness that we wished to call, because you'll recall Exhibit C dealt with the witnesses that we wished to call.
Yes.
We never wished to call Van Zyl, we wanted to cross-examine him, and hence
That was in your statement of case?
Yes, but also you will know, Judge, that when we finalized Exhibit C before you, we deleted Van Zyl and, in fact, General Mbamba's names.
Just let's have a look at that again. 59. Purposes of completeness, we point out that Brigadier Gideon van Zyl, who directed that the mortuary vehicles were to be summoned, posed to an affidavit on the 24th of January 2014. The content of this affidavit is demonstrably false, and if necessary, leave will be sought to cross-examine him. Obviously, if he's called.
Yes, and we certainly didn't call him.
Yeah.
So his statement doesn't qualify as evidence in terms of 3.2, and it's impermissible for the National Commissioner's legal representatives to refer to it in any way whatsoever. Thank you.
Are you finished with your objection?
I am, Judge.
Now you have a right to reply to that.
Thank you, Chair. I think at the outset, I must agree with Mr. Jamie. And I have made the concession. Brigadier van Zyl's statement is not evidence tendered by the evidence leaders before you. We are not relying on it as a statement falling within the purview of a clause or paragraph 3.2 of Exhibit C. We rely on the statement as part of Exhibit D before you, which is the entire record of the Marikana Commission. Referring you to Exhibit B for the actual statement, I did indicate was simply for ease of reference, because it is immediately at hand. But if it gives Mr. Jamie some level of comfort, I will close Exhibit B, and I shall go, Chair, to Exhibit D, and I will invite the commissioners to go to the statement of Brigadier Van Zyl, and in particular, to locate annexure ZZZZ4, 3.657.
Yes, I know, but that still does not deal with his objection. He's saying that the Exhibit D has been qualified by this agreement in Exhibit C.
It can't be, Chair.
Why not?
Exhibit C relates strictly to the evidence. The evidence leaders intend to tender.
Yes.
It can't, because if it qualified Exhibit D, the entire transcript of the Falam Commission is out. All the documentation that was produced and evidence before Falam Commission is out. And it is, Chair, because it is restricted to those 8 witnesses. Exhibit D, and I will find in the transcript where this inquiry accepted the entire Falam Commission record as a record before this inquiry. So Exhibit C has no impact on that.
Just a minute. Yeah.
She's right, it is part of the deal. So it is therefore, it is a credibility finding.
All right. We have discussed your submission quickly.
Thank you, Chair.
We will allow you to refer to Exhibit D.
Exhibit D.
And its reference to the statement by Gideon Van Zyl. But of course, the credibility issue of that evidence will remain with us.
And for the record then, maybe I think we should just clarify, and I refer to Exhibit D and to the statement of Brigadier Jacobus Van Zyl, which was admitted before the Falam Commission as Annexure ZZZ, those are 4 Zs, 3.6.5.7. This is for avoidance of any doubt that I am suggesting that it is tendered by the evidence leaders.
All right.
And in particular, Chair and members of the board, I would like to refer you to paragraph 6 thereof.
Paragraph 6. Just give it to me again. Page 75. Just hold on a bit.
Yeah, indeed, Chair.
Paragraph 6
Paragraph 6.
of Exhibit quadruple Z 3.657.
Yes, Chair, thank you. And in particular, the last statement in that paragraph. And this statement, in fact, I should read, I think, from paragraph 6, or from first line of paragraph 6. On 16th of August 2012, during the JOCOM meeting, possible tactical response was discussed, of which the detail of the tactical operation was discussed at around 13:30. The relevant aspect here is thereafter, I requested Colonel Madoda, who was part of the task team of investigators, to inform Lieutenant Colonel Classen of Phokeng detectives to place a mortuary van on standby. And then I would invite the members of the board to have regard to the last statement of that paragraph, where Brigadier Van Zyl states the instruction to Colonel Madoda was to place mortuary van drivers on standby at Phokeng, not to be on standby at Marikana. This was done on my own initiative. That's what his statement provides. Now, if one then has regard to in this request as it went up the chain or down the chain for provision of mortuary vans, none of those witnesses testify that such instruction or such request or recommendation, however one terms it, emanated from the National Commissioner. If one follows Brigadier Van Zyl's statement, we know, according to that statement, that he requested Colonel Madoda to inform Colonel Classen. Now, if one has regard to Colonel Madoda's statement and Colonel Classen's statement, they confirm precisely that chain of command. Ms. Ngake, I think, and the others then received this instruction secondhand from one or other of the witnesses listed there. The instruction emanating as it did from Brigadier Van Zyl must be construed in the absence of contrary evidence that that is the highest level to whom the instruction is attributable. If the evidence leaders sought to persuade you that Colonel Van Zyl is incorrect in suggesting that he did this at his own initiative and suggest that in fact such an instruction came from the National Commissioner, they ought to have called a witness in support of such a contention, because that contention is not supported by the statements of these witnesses that I have read. There is therefore no factual or legal basis on which this board can take the quantum leap that the evidence leaders invite you to and conclude that because there was such an instruction or a request on the day, it did, as a matter of fact, come from the National Commissioner. That's at the highest level. In fact, there is not even a basis for this board to accept that it would have come from the National Commissioner. There is absolutely no evidence in that regard. And regard being had to the fact that this is an inquiry into the misconduct by the National Commissioner, that then begs the question, what is the value of the evidence of these witnesses to this inquiry? We know where the instruction came from. We know how it went down the chain of command. How does that constitute misconduct on the part of the National Commissioner? And we suggest, Chair, that the question need only be posed to demonstrate that the two are so far apart that they can never be reconciled. These matters about motor events relate to other issues at Marikana and have absolutely no bearing on the National Commission. And it's against that background that in our heads of argument we said their evidence is absolutely irrelevant to any single term of reference that appeared, that is before you. The next then, if I may move to the next category of witnesses, and that is General Mawela and General Basong. And this time I think I am correct, they are part of Exhibit C. So these are witnesses tendered by the evidence leaders. These witnesses and other provincial commissioners were dealt with in the Falam Commission in this manner. The Commission indicated that in regard to the facts surrounding decision or a decision taken at the NMF meeting or the post-NMF meeting, certain interrogatories...
Let's call that the
extraordinary meeting.
Because that's how we have termed it throughout.
I shall do so. I shall do so. Thank you, Chair. Or in the extraordinary meeting, certain interrogatories were directed to those known to have attended that meeting. And they responded thereto by, in writing. And one of such statement was tendered by General Mawela and the other by General Basson. Now, we are now clearly now dealing with the issue about the extraordinary meeting, and their statements will be found at Exhibit B, starting with General Mawela at page 79.
Yes.
And Chair, from paragraph 3 of that statement, Mr. Mawela, or General Mawela, advises, and this is after confirming that such an extraordinary meeting was held. And at 3, he states, the Provincial Commissioner of the Northwest, Lieutenant General Mbombo, briefed us about the public disorder situation by the Lonmin mine workers and the intervention measures she is employing to mitigate the threat. What was key in her intervention was the engagement and negotiations which was taking place behind the scenes. Lieutenant General Mbombo further briefed the meeting about the status of the resources she is having and appreciated the support and resources she is getting from the provincial commissioners. I said, I being General Mawela, there are experienced senior officials from the province and head office deployed in the affected area and capable of handling the situation as it unfolds. He then concludes by saying there was no plan presented to us by Lieutenant General Mbombo. So that is the gist of his evidence. The next one then would be General Basson, and that appears at page 87 to page 90. But maybe before I go there, Chair, if I may just revert to General Mawela, there might be another paragraph that is important to note, and that is paragraph 5, where General Mawela says the meeting encouraged her to continue with her intervention at page 79, Chair.
Paragraph
5. The meeting encouraged her to continue with her intervention and maintain public order. She was also advised to inform the public about the interventions and initiatives she is currently employing to stop the violence and dispel the growing perception that the police are helpless while people are being killed.
Yes.
Then, if we refer to General Basson's, it's not in a statement form. Her responses to the Falam Commission was by way of email. And it is part of a pack that was delivered in the Marikana Commission. It was marked EL4, started page 87. And the members will note that there appears to be email communication over leaf at page 88.
Yes.
Towards the bottom under the heading from Lieutenant General Basson.
Yes.
Those are then her responses to the interrogatories posed by the Falam Commission. And in particular, I would like, at paragraph 1, first line, she informs us that Lieutenant General Mbombo informed the meeting that there had been a prolonged strike action at Marikana during which people lost their lives. They had received information from intelligence which indicated that striking employees congregated at Marikana were armed in order to prevent further loss of life. She indicated that an operation was planned to be executed on 16 August 2012. That's General Mbombo advising that meeting. And over leaf at the top, second line, Chair, she mentions no detail of the operation was discussed at the meeting. And at the bottom of that email, after item 9, she records, the meeting endorsed the proposal to disarm the striking mine workers on the basis to prevent further loss of life, as all contingencies would have been catered and provided for in the operation plan. So that is the sum total of the evidence of the 2 witnesses relied upon by the evidence leaders in this inquiry as regards the extraordinary meeting. During his submissions yesterday, we learned that Mr. Jamie does not seek to rely on paragraphs 85 and 86 of his head of argument. And the explanation for that was that because the submissions that he sent out are not relevant. We find that a curious submission. The submissions therein deal with the 2 witnesses. It is their witnesses. It is the testimony tendered by their witnesses. So I don't know if that means that the evidence leaders are disavowing the evidence of their own witnesses, or what exactly is intended to be achieved by no longer relying on that evidence.
Which paragraphs were this again?
This was 85 and 86 of their heads.
85 and 86 of the heads.
Most strikingly is that paragraph 86 of their heads is actually a quotation of General Basson's evidence. It is not conclusions they make based on that evidence. So we suggest that, as a bare minimum, paragraph 86, quoting as it does, verbatim the evidence of their witness is very relevant, unless they go on record and say that they disavow the evidence of that witness. That then leaves us with the last witness of Exhibit C. And that would be the witness, the standalone witness in the 3rd category, Captain Susanna Elizabeth Mooman. And this starts at page 30 of Exhibit B. Exhibit B actually includes 2 statements she made before the Falam Commission, a supplementary statement, and notes that she took at the JOCOM meeting on the 16th of August. And that entire range starts from page 30, 30, Chair. You will recall, members of the board, that during submissions you were referred to the notes, the handwritten notes that appear from page 55. I would like to refer you to the undated statement of Captain Moorman that starts at page 52 of Exhibit B, which was admitted into evidence before Marikana, marked ZZZZ3. And it's got that manuscript at the top right-hand corner. Okay, we're in the right statement. At page 52 and paragraph 3, Captain Moorman states, the notes concerning the 16th are the notes that I took at the JOC meeting that occurred at 600 hours. So she does confirm she's the author of those notes. Overleaf at page 53, paragraph 4. She states, the second page of the notes I made begins with the words security deployment in quotations. As I recall, it was Major General Annandale who said D-Day and who spoke what is recorded in this page. further down, but if the commissioners, if the members of the board would skip 2 sentences following, and the 3rd sentence starting D-Day. And she states, D-Day refers to Major General Mpembe saying to unions at this meeting that today he wants the union supporters to lay down their arms and return to work. The word D-Day has nothing to do with an operational plan at all. Now, this is a witness testifying to the handwritten notes she made, which appears from pages 55 to 59. And she provides an explanation as to why she noted D-Day. This appears at page 56, which would be the 2nd page of her notes. 3rd line, it's a standalone and it reads D-Day. The evidence leaders would seek to persuade you that reference to D-Day confirms the notion, because this was 6 o'clock in the morning, that the NMF had taken a decision the previous day to disarm them or to employ a tactical option. And that at 6 o'clock in the morning already, Captain Moolman records D-Day. So it is consistent with that understanding. But they would have the board accept that proposition, notwithstanding the explanation by their own evidence, their own witness, as to what she meant by D-Day. And that appears at paragraph 4 of her statement from page 52. And she says unequivocally, the word D-Day has nothing to do with an operational plan at all. In fact, she attributes the words to Major General Annandale and Major General Mpembe, both of whom were not in the NMF meeting, were not part of the NMF meeting, nor were they a part of or in the extraordinary session following the NMF meeting. So, earlier in my submissions, the chair asked me, I don't recall in respect of what, whether that refers to D-Day, and I said, no, I'll get to that point. This is the evidence on D-Day. So if there's any doubt, or there was any doubt, what D-Day means, the witness tendered by the evidence leaders has dispelled that doubt, as she does at paragraph 5 of that statement. And Chair, that would conclude the section on the evidence tendered by the evidence leaders. I will deal with one more witness, which is the evidence of Mr. Nklati, when I deal with Term 1. According to my watch, it's now 11 o'clock. I don't know if the board would like a comfort break, or I could just continue.
10 minutes. Would 10 minutes break be adequate?
More
break?
Yes, yeah.
10 minutes, can we then start 10 minutes past 11 again?
Thank you.